Welcome to Black and Gold Happy Hour Sports Talk here. My name is Mike Florak. I'm coming to you with some great guests today. We're on our third podcast. Thank you for tuning in. I've got with me Howard Carnell to my right, a former sports reporter for the Washington Observer Reporter and the Wheeling Intelligencer. Next to Howard is Rich Donnelly, the longtime, over 40 years in Major League Baseball as a coach. Steubenville native here. We're so happy to have Rich around and listen to his great stories and talk about his great career. And to Rich's right is a guy that I've known very well, meant a lot to me throughout the years, Tom Teak Mort. He is he's on the faculty at Indian Creek High School in Wintersville, Ohio, here in our tri-state area. And Teak is also the director of the Unified Sports program at Indian Creek. Teak, it's always great to be with all you guys, but we want to start off on a positive note and talk a little bit about the Unified Sports program. Teak, tell us a little bit about the program.
Okay, well, what Unified Sports is, it is combining students, kids with and without intellectual disabilities on the same team. And they play against kids, obviously similar kids. About 3 years ago, my superintendent came to me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in a unified sports program?" Well, of course, not knowing what it was, of course, I said yes right away.
Sports, right?
Yeah, right. So anyway,
me.
We go through the summer, and then in the fall, Christy Peters, who is the Special Olympics, it's a branch of Special Olympics Unified Sports Director for Ohio, comes to our school. We fall in love with her. She falls in love with our students. And next thing you know, we are, off and running for Unified Sports. So we start practicing. We have our deputy, Matt Morgan, at the high school and some of our students. We start practicing football. We don't have anybody to play. So we're planning on playing a, like an inter-squad game with, our special ed kids and mixing everybody together. Well, then I started thinking, and I called Ross, Coach Ross Ikovich at Big Red. On 2 days' notice, I said, "Ross, can you get a team here to play? We can play Big Red." And sure enough, he said, "I got to ask Mrs. Young." Next, here come Big Red. So I asked Coach Dunleavy, Big Red showed up with their Big Red jerseys on, and Coach Dunleavy gave us our Creek jerseys. Well, as just luck would happen, I'm out on the field. We're preparing for the game. I get a text that said, "Get to the office right away." So I go to the office. There's a box of uniforms, jerseys. From the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns ended up being a corporate sponsor.
Beautiful.
So I got those jerseys and I took them out. And I don't know if you remember the scene.
Who was the Browns quarterback at the time, or did they have 20 jerseys in there?
I think that was Tim Couch. But anyway, so I take the jerseys out and open up the box, and it was like that scene from The Longest Yard. When Paul Crew brings out the Mean Machine uniforms, our kids had the exact same reaction. Of course, we're passing out uniforms. Of course, the biggest kid, our captain, Caleb Mannion, he wants number 1, of course, but they were by size, so Caleb was 99.
It was like kids on a Christmas day then.
Oh, it was great, man. It was great. And then we went over the rules. We actually had Sheriff Freddie was our he flipped a coin. Jason Elliott came out and said a prayer. And it was just a wonderful start to the day. Then both teams came running out. There was no us and them. Our band was there. They were playing. We had cheerleaders cheering for both teams. And I will say our football kids, our football team were the coaches for our team. And then the Steubenville kids, I remember Brody Sack. And what I remember the most is, though, just a couple days before, Big Red had lost a tough playoff game. And then here those kids are 2-3 days later, coaching these special ed kids and cheering for them like it was their playoff game. That's what it was all about. That's what it was all about.
And now how has that evolved since that initial
Okay, so
day?
we had the football game, and then in the winter we played a basketball game against the sheriff's deputies. And that was wonderful. That was a wonderful thing. Again, our band, we were playing music, the whole bit. Well, then I reached out because I am, the Unified Sports Director for Jefferson County at this point. So I reached out to several schools, and then Matt Morrison at Edison, they put together a team, a Unified Sports team, and Buckeye. Steubenville hasn't come fully aboard yet with the whole unified, but they are playing, games with us. So we're hoping to get Steubenville, Toronto, all the Jefferson County schools on board. But we had basketball games. We went to Buckeye. Buckeye came here. Edison came here, and then we went out to Edison a couple of times. Got cheated by Principal Morrison out there. He has a ringer.
That's how he rolls.
I'm going to put this out there. He has a ringer by the name of Smiley. Okay, Smiley's going on his 7th year of high school. Nobody can beat him. But I kid, of course, about that. But a kid like Smiley is why we do this, because we go out there for that track meet, and Smiley really is good. I think he might be on their regular track team, but the entire Edison student body starts chanting Smiley, 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 and then our kids start joining in, and you see why they call him Smiley.
That's awesome. And there's room for the developmentally disabled in all sports, and that's what you guys are proving.
Absolutely.
How much is this spread over the tri-state area? Are you aware of anything?
Well,
Western Pennsylvania or
I don't know honestly about PA. Mm-hmm. I do know that there's quite a few schools in Ohio, and we're hoping to branch out and play those teams. But sure. Everything right now unified is during the school day, so it's a little bit difficult getting to schools. But it ends up being like a school assembly. And we had a middle school game last year, basketball game. We had Harding. Bubba Costini brought a Harding group with the cheerleaders, including Lydia Battistel, who was a great cheerleader for the Harding Middle School. But anyway, so we're hoping to branch out and play. And again, I'd like to get Steubenville involved, Toronto involved, and all the rest of the schools. And who knows?
Yeah, that's awesome work. And Dan, I think we have a clip of what the Unified Sports Program looks like, so our viewers can see the students in action. And this is just an awesome thing that, we're mostly Steelers and Pirates, Penguins here that we want to talk about, but there's room for other sports. And this program is unique. It's unique to the Valley here. You're one of the catalysts for this. So congratulations to you. Thank you for the awesome work that you're doing with this, and everything that you've always done for so many of the youth around here. Mike. You've been a lifelong coach, made an impact on so many people, including me. We're fortunate to have you, and it's good to see you doing these things.
Thank you.
Want to roll with the clip, Dan? That's great stuff. Teak, where is the next event?
Our next event is a Spooky Bowl, and it'll be on Halloween at 10 a.m. at Kettlewell Stadium at Indian Creek in Wintersville, and we'll be playing the Edison Wildcats, who, by the way, Anthony Pirro, the football coach at Edison, has taken over the Unified Sports Program.
Oh, that's terrific.
So they're going to bring a team, and we're going to play.
This is catching fire, and congratulations, and thank you so much for all that you've done for so many people here. Like we talked about, this is mostly Steelers, Pirates, and Penguins, what we're doing, but this is a sports rich environment. So we wish you all the best with that.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for being here and keep up the great work.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So thank you. And speaking of sports rich traditions, we have sports and Rich Donnelly here, the former third base coach of the Pirates back in the heyday in the 90s with Jim Leland, and also spent time with the Marlins, Dodgers, Brewers. Who am I missing? Mariners, a couple other teams that aren't in existence. Any Seattle Pilots, maybe. But it's great to have Rich along, and we have an old friend of yours, a great friend to me, who's joining us, and the play-by-play voice of the Pittsburgh Pirates, the great Greg Brown. Greg, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great now, but I'm bummed out. If I had known you guys were going to be at the Spot Bar, I'd have been there. I didn't realize that's great. It is great to see everybody. Coach Moore just mentioned, I think you mentioned, I didn't hear the whole start of the incredible story about Unified Sports, Coach, but you said like your first call was Ross Ikovich, I believe.
That is correct. Yeah.
Ross worked. I would not have made it where I am today because Ross was like an intern / assistant in production when I worked at WFMJ in Youngstown. I was the weekend sports anchor, and Ross got me through the 1 year I worked, and I stay in touch with him to this day. So, but that's great stuff you're doing. It's great to see Rich as always, and Howard, and you, Mike.
Everyone's good. It's great to hear your voice, Greg. Have you decompressed from the end of the season a little bit finally?
People ask me, how's it gone? And it's flying. It feels like we're going to spring training already tomorrow. Rich, you know that feeling. It's great. I mean, the off season is tremendous. It's my favorite time of year. It'll be great when the Pirates go to the playoffs and the World Series eventually. That'll be fun to decompress in November rather than October. But it is my favorite time of the year. There's plenty to do. A lot of appearances. A lot of work around the house that I kind of put off. But it's been great. Thanks. Yeah.
So and you're mentioned when the Pirates go to the playoffs again, and that's what I kind of wanted to get the opinions of you and Rich. And Rich, like, how close do you think this Pirate team is to, say, like the '89 Pirates or the '90 Pirates that were on the cusp of that? Are they close? And Greg, what do you think? Is this close to the 2012 brand of the Pirates that was knocking on the door then?
Go ahead, Brad.
How far
No,
away?
I'm gonna let Rich start. I'm gonna follow Rich.
The teams we had, especially 90, 91, 92, we felt we were the best team in baseball.
Yeah.
Of course, with Bonds, Van Slyke,
Sure.
Bonilla, Draybeck, the whole
Yeah.
crew.
Mhm.
I think this team now, with the pitching, that's where you improve the quickest. And of course, with Skeens and a guy like Keller, and they got the Jones kid who was hurt, is coming back. You can improve quickly. But I think, as Brownie will agree, they need to get some thumpers in the lineup. You got to have 2 or 3 thumpers in the lineup. And I think this winter they'll try to make a trade or free agency, but they got to acquire a couple hitters because they were pretty close to last in runs scored. And if they could just score, it sounds easy. If they could score 4 runs a game, they would be a plus 500 team. So I think that's the direction I got to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Greg, what do you think? Do you get any of that sense, like that this is, close to 2011 or 2012? What's the mood of the team, the organization, all the people who are talking about those things?
Mike, I've been asked that I've been saying that for the last 5 years, that this is 2012. So eventually I got to change my story, or eventually it's going to come to pass. But, I think Rich, weren't you in the Pirates player development system for a while too, in like 2008, 9, 10 for a while? Yeah. So Rich came back. So Rich was part of 2 renaissance, really. In the mid 80s, Rich joined Jim Leland, 1985, and took a 100-loss team. And 4 years later, I think Rich, all those injuries in '89, I think that was the year you guys were expecting to win. And then 1990, you turned the corner, you won 95 games. Then Rich, goes and coaches elsewhere, then comes back and is in the player development role for a few years. And he was there, then part of the turnaround. And you talk about 2012, and that was when they were really in it. 2012, they collapsed in September that year. But
Right.
13, 14, 15, of course, they had the great years. They won 98 games in 2015. But I don't know, Rich. I agree with Rich. You got to get a couple boppers. And I think the good thing about this is that it's like all the chips are on the table. There's no hiding anything now. People
Right.
ask about Ben
That's a
Cherington
great
and Bob
point.
Nutting, people staying, and on the reason Bob Nutting hasn't to this point made a change at the GM position, and this is not, I'm not revealing any secrets. I mean, Ben knows this, is that Bob felt like if he made a change there at the top, that would upset the entire apple cart of what's been done, what has been processed now in 5 and 6 years. A new GM, again, Rich can attest to this better than I. A new GM is going to come in, and there are going to be changes, and you could be looking at 5 or 6 more years. Bob Nutting and Ben Cherington feel like it's already in place, and if you just add a couple of those pieces, a couple of boppers, and they know it, that's the key. They've got to do it this winter.
Yeah, and Greg, you and I have talked about this a number of times, and I think we touched on this a little bit during our last podcast. I'm of the contention that in 13, 14, and 15, when the Pirates had a chance to win and they showed it on the field, Bob Nutting went out and spent the money. He went out, got J.A. Happ, Justin Morneau, Marlon Byrd, on and on and on to bolster those rosters. Do you think there's any chance that he may change, or Ben Cherington can talk him into changing his mindset to say, let's not wait until to see if we're in it. Let's go out and be proactive. Is there any sense that might happen, Greg?
I'm either a good guy or a bad guy to ask, because I feel like at times the lone voice of the Bob Nutting defense. I've defended him over the years because I believe he wants to win. He's tried to win. under the circumstances. He's handcuffed. He has spent the money. He jumped at, I think, close to $30 million from 15 to 16. Now, Charrington went and made those trades this summer and admitted that in so many words that it was to allow them to spend money this offseason. I looked at something called Sports Track. I believe it's called Sports Track that has a pretty good idea of what payrolls are across baseball. And I believe the Pirates' payroll has been pared down to somewhere like the mid 30s, $30 million. Now, if Bob Nutting, and the word is that he would be willing to spend as much as $100 million, you're looking at a possibility of between 60 and $70 million available in the kitty for Ben Cherington. And that's before, if they do, and the rumor is that they're going to try and even trade perhaps a guy like, and I don't know that they would trade Mitch Keller, but anyway, there is room. There's room to spend. There are chips to spend in terms of the pitching that Rich Donnelly talked about. And so it's a huge offseason for the Pirates organization as a whole. And again, for Ben Cherington, he knows it. He's got to win. And so, a part of me thinks this is a good thing. It is his feet are going to be held to the fire.
Yeah. Rich, if there was one impact player out there, one impact bat that might be maybe for sale or for tradable out there, if the Pirates were going to say we're going to get one guy, who do you think that might be available?
It's the other night I was watching, I got to coach Gary Varsho when he was with the Pirates. His son now,
he's a good player.
Is playing, and he's a 25-90 guy. That's the kind of guy the Pirates need to at least look at. He's not going to cost $1 million. On the other hand, I was watching the other day, and the difference between a winning team and a losing team is a very small margin.
Sure.
And I have some stats to back it up. 24 times this year, even with the Pirates, their bad hitting and everything, 24 times this year, they went into the 8th inning with the lead. They lost 24 games.
Wow.
If you could do half, add 12 wins onto the Pirates, you're at 500.
You're in business.
And you're not going to be a playoff team unless you're over 500 or thereabouts. But they talk about the hitting and everything, but the bullpen gave up the lead.
And early on,
24 times in the 8th inning when they had the lead.
Wow.
So if the Pirates could add a little thump, like I say, they were last, I believe, in the big leagues or close to it in runs scored and batting average. They got to fix that up because surely the pitching is there. The starting pitching is there. They got to shore up the bullpen a little bit. But I'm telling you, you look at other teams, everybody, I bet you there's a guy that is listening to this that knows what place Toronto was in last year.
They were in last, weren't they? Yeah, they were last.
They were last. So it can be done.
Yeah.
They fixed their team. Look where they're at.
Yeah, that's great. That gives us great hope. And Greg, we talked about that last week. Anything can happen, and hope will spring eternal when you go to Florida again, which will come on you faster than we think.
Well, and as Rich said, he's right, and Ben Cherington even mentioned that about that the pitching can be even better. I think he was talking specifically about that bullpen. Rich mentioned that when they score 4 or more runs, they went 46-21 last year when they just scored 4. That's unbelievable. 46-21. And so it really does not. That's how close they are. They believe, and I believe. And so it won't take much. They will go out. I think this will be one of the busiest off seasons maybe in the last, I don't know, couple decades for the Pirates. And
that's good to hear.
And so I'm as anxious as I've ever been for the World Series to be over so that the work can start, because you can't start signing and trading guys until a couple days after the World Series ends. And so in early November, I don't think it's going to be one of those things where for years we've been waiting around January, February into spring training. They add a piece here, a Tommy Pham or an Adam Frazier. No, I think it's going to be real busy, real early. And that will also create some excitement.
Yeah, Brownie, nobody deserves it more than you to bring it
That's
to the
right.
fans. You've been here forever.
Yeah.
You've been here through the bad times, a little bit of good times, but the whole thing, you've seen it all. So, and the way you do, the way you talk, the way you do, you got fans all over, and you get excited on a team that is 20 games under 500. I want to see when they get 20 games over 500.
I don't think I'll
Good thing
survive
your
that,
wife's an
Rich.
MD, right, Greg?
I won't survive that. I can tell you that right now.
Well, you won't have to go any further than the living room to find your wife. She'll be able to resuscitate you if you get
Yeah,
too
that's
excited,
true.
right?
That is true.
She's an MD. You have an MD
Yeah.
in the house. So.
That's true.
Yeah,
I don't know
that's
how much
great.
time you have, Rich. Rich is the greatest storyteller of all time. But Rich, when you mention all the years of losing, and you know Ryan Lefevre, you know his dad for a long time. Ryan Lefevre, the longtime voice of the Kansas City Royals. He's been there about 20. I've been doing this 33 years. He's been doing about 26, 27. He and I debated last year because I said somebody did a study. I said I really think I'm one of the losingest broadcasters in history. And he came back the next year with a two-sided piece of paper, which I had it with me right now, of about, I don't know, 100 names. He said the parameters were a guy had to be a broadcaster for the team for at least 20 years, for the same team. Byram Som, for example, back in the old Philadelphia Athletics, Philadelphia Phillies days, he doesn't count because he did both the Athletics and the Phillies. So anyway, he ended up doing all the research and he handed me the sheet of paper, and he actually has the worst losing percentage in baseball history. That was a year, however, before they went to the World Series, and I was second. So you guys are talking to the broadcaster with the worst winning percentage in the history of National League Baseball. So I wear that as a badge of great honor.
But
somebody will overtake you.
But you do an awesome job, and you mean a lot to the Pirates fan base, Greg. So your work is why a lot of people still tune in. So you keep it up, and we really appreciate having you. Thanks so much. I'm sure we'll talk about you joining us again here shortly when we map out our schedule a little further. But thank you so much for taking the time, and we really appreciate it.
Well, Mike, I hope the next time you guys are at the spot, I really will. I'd love to go down there and hang with you guys. It'd be an absolute blast. I'll never forget the day Rich Donnelly hosted me, and we were hanging out at an appliance store, talking all kinds of sports. He took all day long. Yeah. Where was it?
He's the mayor now.
Frank and Jerry's. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to do that again. Anyway, Rich, great seeing you. Great talking to you. Coach Moore and Howard, great seeing you as well.
Good to see you, Greg.
Good to see you, Brian.
Thanks, Greg. Talk soon, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Well, what a great guy he is, and he's just a force for positivity in the Pirates organization, and to keep going like that. But I thought that would be good. Teak, your background's in unified sports now, but you were such a great baseball guy, baseball coach. Got us all fired up. You coached me in several sports, and thank you for all you're doing. And we're
got me fired up now.
We're gonna adjust on the fly here a little bit, and we have a special guest here, and the reason that we chose the Spot Bar, and thank you, Jojo DeAlbert, for having us here. Jojo's the longtime owner of the Spot Bar, and he's put it up for sale here. It's going to be changing ownership in the near future. The Spot Bar is a legendary place here in Steubenville where people congregate for good times, family events, sports talk, and the Dean Martin weekend was largely centered around the activities here at the Spot Bar. So we're here to celebrate JoJo, and this wouldn't be possible. You had some really good friends and sponsors that stepped up, Joe. Ed Gahn, our old friend here at the O Patio and Pub on Lane Avenue in Columbus. Best place to be for your tailgating activities if you're in Columbus watching the Buckeyes. Tony Rinaldi also stepped up. Tony's law office is in Cleveland. Tony's been a very successful attorney in Cleveland. He was a great guy when we were in high school at the same time together. Tony stepped up, as also did Steve Vukovic and his family. His daughter stepped up, and they were very, very supportive of JoJo and all the things. They've been great friends. Valerie and Stevie and his whole family have been great friends to you and great friends to us. So thank them for making this happen, especially. But we want to bring Coach Suckoch up, and we want to bring JoJo up here if we can. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we're going to adapt on the fly here. We got a little bit early, but we'll get with the Penguins and Pirates talk here and bring Howard back in a second here. But we've Reno's on a tight schedule. To our far right, that's, for those of you who don't know, that's Reno Suckoch, long time, over 40 years now, coach, as the head coach of Steubenville High School, one of the most winning high school football coaches ever in this country in the history of high school football. So, Coach, we're glad to have you on board with us. You've been a good friend to JoJo. And to my right here is JoJo DeAlbert, the owner of the Spot Bar, soon to be vacationing. He's the man with the good tan. He's been out west. He's going to work on that a little bit more. And then what's next? Movies, Hollywood from there? Or
I'm working on that.
you working on that? Who's going to play you in the Spot Bar movie?
Well, that's up to Rich.
That's
Rich,
up to
Rich is working on the movie.
Rich,
We all know what that movie is.
He's got the movie. Yeah, and
Runs at midnight.
we'll talk about that. I'm glad you brought that up.
He promised me that I'd play a big part in it.
Well, of course. And Rich, for those of you who don't know, if you haven't read The Chicken Runs at Midnight, go buy it today and read it. It's one of the best books you'll ever read in your life. I don't read much. I used to read a lot. I don't read much at all. I read it about 7 or 8 years ago, Rich. It took me 2 nights. I was crying, laughing, thinking about Tennis Shoe Ernie and all the talk about Steubenville, the stories of all the adversity that your family went through, the triumphs of winning the World Series, all that. Just a great story and inspiration you are to so many people and all the things that your family went through. The book was published, 9 years, 10 years ago? 18 years ago. Wow. In 2018. Yes, about 7 or 8 years ago. And just an outstanding quick read. You'll love it. Please go get it. And there's a movie in the works, correct? We're working on it. So that'll get done. Yeah.
I'll get it done though.
Mike Zeno will be owning the Spot Bar by then. But we have a real special friend of yours here, Coach Reno Suckoch. Reno, tell us about your relationship with JoJo and how far you guys go back.
Don't believe him.
First of all, we have a lot of fun up here, but I want to be serious for a minute. I'd like to really thank Joe for all the help he's given me personally and my family in our football program. We have a first-class program because of guys like him, and he's the one that started it, and we appreciate that. Other than that, it's going to be tough following Rich because Rich Donnelly doesn't let the truth get in the way of a good story. And so that'll be tough to follow, but I appreciate Joe. And I stopped down here, and the first time, I don't know who's going to see this podcast.
It's a podcast. There's no FCC, anything. Let it fly.
No, I'm not going to let it fly, but I had my first cigarette with JoJo.
I love it.
In the 5th grade. We're walking up.
Can I tell that story?
I was in the
Please.
5th grade.
Let's hear it.
3rd grade.
He's probably going to deny it, but where we grew up, it was a store called EMP. It's no longer around anymore. So I steal a pack of Winston's, right? So I tell Reno I stole these pack of cigarettes, right? So I hide them.
He was in the 3rd grade.
On Railroad Avenue. I hide them underneath a rock. Next day I know I go to get them. They're gone. I said, Reno, somebody stole the cigarette. He stole the cigarettes.
And blamed it on your poor brother.
Them off of me.
That's a lie, but
yeah,
we did walk to school, and JoJo put him in the downspout of the school so we can get him after school. And when we got in school, it started to rain. And although Joe's my age, he graduated 2 years after me because he just got held back a couple of times.
I was sick.
But, he got held back in math and then made his money doing math. And
something to be said for that. Is that St. Anthony's math?
No, Spot Bar math.
Talk about, Joe, throughout the, what does this mean to you that, like, when I call an Eddie Gaughan or Tony Rinaldi or Dr. Valerie Vukovic, I mean, what does that mean to you when they say, oh, anything for JoJo? I'll do anything for JoJo. You've made so many friends here the last decade. How long has it been?
47 years.
47 years. What does that mean to you? When
I don't know
say
why
those?
they like me.
Everybody knows why. You're a likable guy.
Well, sometimes, right, Mike?
No, always. Mike Zeno knows that. He's here with us today, my old friend. But
Well, you know, I've watched them kids grow up. You know, I was a part of their life at a young age, and always got along and respected one another. And a guy like Eddie Gahn, and I actually respect him probably more than he respects me because of what he's accomplished at Ohio. I mean, he's done extremely well.
Yep.
With a lot of hard work. I mean, you don't get to where he's at without working hard. And believe me, running a bar, especially something like he has, you know, the big one with the restaurants, it ain't easy.
Sure.
You get old in a hurry, and he's been very successful and because of his work ethic, you know, he's a good guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And Tony Rinaldi, I know, feels the same way as does the whole Vukovic family.
Yeah.
So they were instantly stepped up and said, yeah, we'd love to support this event. Who are some of the characters that have come that you might meet down here? Rich, you can please feel free to chime in. Who's like some of your favorite characters? Reno, who do you have like high on your list as somebody who's entertaining? My God, that person was funny.
Would be one.
Who's Joe Sauce? Tell us about Joe Sauce.
Sausage shop across the street.
Okay.
I could tell a real good story about him and Coach Cooper from Ohio State, but we'll save that for later. But Joe Sauce would have to be number one. Jimmy Miller was a pretty funny guy, pretty good guy. Tookie.
Tookie. Tell us about Tookie. That was the name I couldn't think of.
JoJo was sitting in the car.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did the nickname Tookie come about? Tell us how that happened, Joe.
I don't know that. I know Tookie. I don't know how you got the name.
Tookie was from the olden days, you know, in the gambling back here. And he was about, I don't know, maybe 4 foot tall. And he had pop bottle glasses. And he wore his trousers up to here.
With a tie.
With a tie, yeah. And he was just you know, the characters that we had coming in and out here, you really had to be a part of it to appreciate it, you know. Tookie was a little slow, but years in his day, he would go around for the mob. Excuse me, guys.
No, you're fine.
And he would take off the slot machines, right? And I don't even know how to carry the change because I'm telling you, he was a half of a person, you know. That was his thing in the olden days. But I got a good story about him, and he was a little slow, and for some reason, I would kind of pick on them guys, right? Just to add humor to the establishment. So he's sitting in the bar one time. He said, "Joe, I need a ride home." I said, "Yeah." I said, "But give me a few minutes because I got work to do. I'll take you home. Go out there and get my van." So he goes out and he gets in the van. At that time, there was an AutoZone across the street. So we're all watching. And next thing I know, the passenger door comes flying open and Tookie comes flying out. Well, it wasn't my car. You know, it was the guy at AutoZone, right? And he threw him out. So
Kicked him out.
Yeah, he kicked him out.
Him on the street.
Tookie come in. He says, Joe, that ain't your car. I said, you got in the wrong one, Tookie. Get in the next one. I mean, we had so many incidents like that. I mean, actually, we could have wrote books. We could have made a movie out of it. I mean, it was the best time of our lives, you know.
I brought J.D. Graham down here, you know, the coach for Dewar Catholic.
Yeah.
He was probably the winningest coach in the state of Ohio while he was coaching. And we're sitting down here at Spot Bar. We're getting ready to close up. And we're riding up my house, and he's going to stay overnight. He said, "Reno, if I had a tent, I'd put it over Steubenville and have a hell of a carnival."
That's
some
true.
of the guys he met down here.
There's no other place you'd want to grow up, though, right? I mean, took sports seriously. People cared about each other, you know.
Rich Donnelly gave Joe Sauce. You had to know Joe Sauce to really appreciate Joe Sauce. He gave him a Pirate jersey one time. Dave Parker's shirt.
Big shirt.
He took him 2 hours to put on. Joe Sauce was a big, heavy set guy.
Okay.
He wore that shirt probably for 3 months because he couldn't get it off.
Did he have sauce on the Cobra's jersey?
Yeah.
Oh.
Listen, they tell a story that, you know, when he started making sausage sandwiches, years ago. And the reason that they came out with the patties, no, they didn't have the links no more. They had to make the patties, is because he was serving a sausage sandwich and it fell on the floor and he stepped on it. Well, when he went to pick it, it was smashed out. That was the development of the patty. Right,
That's on the fly thinking.
I
Yeah.
think these guys think you're lying. That's true.
You say a lot, but that's true.
I mean, it was.
Did he eat that pat?
No,
Just
he
that
sold
was okay. So
No,
he
he
sold it.
sold it.
Might as well make a buck off it. It was a good idea.
And they closed him down. The health department closed him down because the place was so filthy. I mean, we'd sit back and when he's making his sauce, and you would see these baby roaches hatch, and they would run up to the top of the kettle. And
But the
just run.
sandwich was good. He
he-
bought good meat.
Yeah.
He bought good meat. He did. I got to defend him on that one.
But anybody,
I don't know about how dirty it was because I never saw it dirty.
anybody who's
Nobody saw it dirty.
anyone who's had a sausage sandwich from Joe Sauce in the last 20 years ought to have some GI tests done. Then, right?
I used to periodically, because I would, in a million years I wouldn't eat them, but I'd go over just to give him a play because he was a customer of ours. I'd buy 25, 30 sandwiches and I'd give them all away. I wasn't going to eat one, but I'd give them all away.
Well, you've had a very giving heart and a giving reputation throughout all these years, and you've been a staple of this community. And one thing that the Spot Bar is associated, first thing comes to my mind after you, of course, is the Dean Martin Fest. What were the origins of the Dean Martin Fest, and how did the Spot Bar become such a critical player?
Well, listen,
in that
I
weekend?
went to St. Anthony's and then I went to Central. So you're going to have to explain me what that word means.
Which word?
That fancy word you say.
Origin. Origin.
Yeah.
Yes, that means the beginning.
Okay.
Alpha.
So as far as the D. Martin,
Yes. How did that start, and how did that come to the Spot Bar? How did you become such a major player in that?
well, they had started it 2 years prior to me taking over. The first year was down in front of the courthouse with about 20 peoples and just a little couple speakers and playing D. Martin songs. Then the following year, they took it somewhere else. I don't want to mention the name, but anyways, they had just asphalted their property, and the D. Martin Festival was there at that time. And what happened the next day is, from all the chairs sunk into the asphalt because it was still hot. So the guy took offense to that and said, I'll never have it again. So I find out about that, and lady that was in charge was Rose Angelica.
Right.
So I went to her. I said, Rose, I said, I got a perfect spot for the D. Martin Festival. Why don't you come down and look? So she did, and the rest was history.
Yeah. And
Well, Joe left one part out. Dean Martin had a daughter, JoJo's age.
She
And
liked
she
me.
came to Steubenville for one of the first two things. And Joe tried to date her. And
She liked me.
they went out a few times. They went to Pittsburgh and stuff like that. And Joe said that I'm going to have the party at my place next year if you'll come in. And she came in for about 5 years.
Yeah.
And then he didn't like her anymore. So she stopped coming in.
She quit coming.
Yeah. Flag Joe's a wonderful guy. Yeah. Back in the day when Joe was married, I show what kind of guy he is. I mean, he's wonderful around here. To show you what a great guy he is. When he was married, his wife wanted to go on vacation. And Joe says to her, well, where do you want to go? She says, take me someplace I've never been before. So Joe took her in the kitchen.
well, she was making better sausage than Joe Sasso, right? Well, that's great stuff, and we're just so happy for you that you're going to move into this next phase of your life, spend some more time with your
Artificial,
grandkids.
yeah.
But it's for
Close.
sale. Yeah, you're getting.
Close.
I mean, obviously you've begun the process.
Right.
So I didn't want to put you on a spot and try to get you to make an announcement or anything, but it's public for sale, so everyone knows
Yes.
that soon you'll be moving on. Rich Reno, final thoughts about Joe's tenure here at the Spot Bar and all the good times you guys have had.
I just like, on a serious note, I just I'm happy for him. I'm happy for Mick. They had a great run here. There's a lot of people that know about Spot Bar, and Joe really made it go. And people had a lot of fun here, but they don't know the work he put in. in the money he invested. JoJo invested a lot of money,
Right.
and sometimes the investment was higher than the profit, but he just kept going. And I just I appreciate him. I'm speaking for all of his friends.
Yes.
Even the guy sitting down here. Joe did a hell of a job, had a good place for us to go with our wives and our friends, and we all enjoyed it. And I appreciate it, and I hope that whoever takes over will at least listen to the advice that Joe gives them.
Yeah, I always said, Black, that the building doesn't make the business, it's the people in it. And
Yeah.
Joe, to make people understand, like Reno said, the hours he spends here.
Yeah.
And
I hate saying something nice
I know
about him. You know,
it's hard to
it's
say.
killing me.
I could see the pain in your
There's
eyes.
so many things I want to say. You know.
Well, remember, this isn't television. You
I
can
know,
say
but
whatever you want.
It's an important day for him, and I just he's my man.
You know,
It wasn't hard for him to say, "Hey Joe, I need new helmets." New shoulder pads.
Cheers, they said where everybody knows your name.
Yes.
Well, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's a great
And Joe can deal
analogy.
with every type of person. He can deal
Yep.
with no matter what walk of life you're from. And you know, it's world famous. I have guys all the time on other teams. They say, "Hey, can you take me down to spot tonight?" I said, "Are you nuts? It's after the game."
Who was that? Who was that pitcher? Candelaria.
Yeah,
Um,
Candyman.
when Rich was coaching there, we would all go up there and get us in the locker room and stuff like this. And this guy is smoking cigarettes like they're, I mean, one
Candy,
after
yeah.
another,
Candy.
lighting them off each other. And he's getting ready to pitch. He's on a pitch that day, and he had a spot bar cut off T-shirt on.
Yeah, all the
Oh,
guys,
that's
all
awesome.
the guys, all the guys.
I'll never
said-
forget
I
that.
love it.
John Candelaria.
That's great.
He was smoking a cigarette. He would light them off each other. And I said, Rich, ain't he pitching today? He goes, yeah. He goes, he does that all the time. And he's just sitting there in the corner. He had his pants on, ready to go, except for his shirt. He had a spot bar cut off T-shirt on.
all the guys
I got a
had
kick
spot
out of
bar,
that.
Big red football shirt. on.
That's
I
great.
used to pass them out. They all wanted them. So
Oh, that's great. God, I can't.
And
I-
Spanky, the catcher,
Spanky,
had-
yeah,
wore
Spanky.
spot
He came
bar.
down a little bit.
He wore
He
spot
wore-
bar shirts
Did he?
too.
He wore it one time. He was like 0 for 20. He got 4 hits. He wore it for 3 straight years. Yeah, he never
Did he wash it?
Never.
He ain't wearing it now.
If he is, he got to need a shoehorn to get it on.
Yeah. Like pure sauce.
Well, that's great stuff. And Joe, we appreciate all that you've done for the community here. This great run that the Spot Bars had.
Thank
The friendships that you've made with so many people that are from the tri-state area, not only just Steubenville and but people come in from Pittsburgh for the Dean Martin Fest. People come from all over for the Dean Martin.
In 1962, St. Anthony won the Parochial League Championship, and we gave up 1 touchdown.
Huh.
And JoJo missed a tackle on Billy Morris. We won the game 8-6.
Yeah, but he don't tell you I was in the 6th grade.
Yeah, but you were still our age. You were 6th grade, but you were 15.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Did you drive to the games?
started kindergarten.
You drove to the
with us.
games.
St. Anthony's is the only school in Richmond.
That's right. Yeah. Players could drive the
We
team
had some
bus.
Old guys on
Oh,
the team.
nice.
That was a tradition because they had old guys when I played against them too. But thank you so much for everything that you've done, Coach Suckoch. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule.
Joe got all his everything that he does. He got from his dad. He's just like his dad, and his dad would never do nothing around the house but help everybody else. Well, that's how Joe was. Joe would always help somebody else, but never do nothing at home. So he's just like George.
Well, it takes great support at home to be like that, right, Joe? So you've been blessed.
He was a good man.
Yeah, that's awesome. But
Thanks for having me. I
yeah,
appreciate
Coach,
it.
thank you so much, and Joe, thank you for letting us be here today. Please stick around and watch the rest of our Steelers and Penguins report here. But thank you for all you've done. Good luck in the future. We know you'll be back and everything. We expect to see you, but God bless you in your future endeavors.
Thank you.
Okay. You bet, buddy. You bet. Well, we're going to bring Howard Carnell back up here, and
Better bring
Howard and I
Johnny
are
the
going
Albert
to.
up here to learn the real truth about the
Joe's brother Johnny's here. Some of our good buddies, Doug Huff, Rich Blackburn, Mike Zeno. Some of our boys are here. And I don't know who's in the back because I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see that far. But boy, it's just great to see to hear those stories. I mean, what a fantastic place, and you can only hope the new owners will keep this tradition. Yeah, there's
Every
no.
day, I tell my wife, I come here every day. I don't drink. I come for coffee and laughs.
Yeah.
It's like going to a comedy show every
Yeah.
morning.
Yeah.
Characters.
Yeah, you got to have some therapy when you're coaching, right, Rich?
Laugh.
I mean,
Laugh all day.
yeah, it's just all the people that, and you list some of the characters in your book, and that was one of the things that I have tears in my eyes from seeing the situation that your family went through, and then I'd turn the page and be talking about Tennis Shoe Ernie and those kind of things, and it just was so it was riveting, the amount of emotions that you go through, knowing you as long as I've known you, and just listening to all the stories and hearing all the stories in the book. It's a great book. Again, it's called The Chicken Runs at Midnight. If you haven't read that, please do. We can't wait till the movie comes out, and Brad Pitt is going to play you in the movie, right? Is it?
Somebody who's a real jerk, and he was.
That's good stuff. But no, that's we'll look forward to following that. But we're going to move on now, and again, this is so much fun to be here. Thank you again to our sponsors, Ed Gahn, the O Patio and Pub on Lane. Couldn't make this happen without Ed and his good friendship with JoJo, as with Tony Rinaldi, who Tony's, like we mentioned, has been a very successful attorney and businessman up in the Cleveland area. Tony was several years behind Ed and me in high school. And then, of course, the Vukovic family, Dr. Valerie Vukovic and Stevie and all the people here who've made this happen today. But we're going to finish up with our last two topics here. And that was the Steelers. I thought Howard looked better than we would have ever dreamed. I've been someone who's been not a big fan of Aaron Rodgers, not anything on a personal level. I just think at 41, I don't know if that body's going to hold up in the offensive line with all the ifs and question marks that we had about them. I don't know if he's going to hold up. He's proven that he's still a pretty darn good quarterback.
Yeah, we talked earlier, Mike, that consistency is going to be the biggest thing with Rodgers, and he doesn't have to be the Aaron Rodgers of 10, 15 years ago with the Packers. Mm-hmm. He needs to be within himself and be the Aaron Rodgers of today, and consistently, whatever that bar is, be consistent in that, versus when he was with the Jets, the peaks, the valleys, the long valleys that he went through. They can't afford to have much of those with the Steelers now. However, it's really incredible after 5 weeks of the season, how much the landscape of that division has changed significantly.
Yeah.
When you take a look at it going into the season, you could have said the Steelers may have been either third or fourth in the division at the quarterback position. They are by far and away now the number one team in the division at quarterback.
That's a great point.
With what has happened to Burrow and also Lamar Jackson. And really what it's done is everybody knows you got to have a quarterback to win. But I didn't realize how heavily reliant the Bengals and the Ravens are on one single player, and that's their quarterbacks.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And the pendulum has swung to the point where I think they're only going to get one team out of that division now, and it's going to be the Steelers. I mean, as long as they keep Rodgers upright, that's a distinct difference from the other teams in the division. First goal's got to be in the division. Right? Got to get to the playoffs. Then everything else from there is just gravy. But it's amazing how much that division has changed with 2 injuries.
Yeah, it is. Rich, do you get much of a chance to watch the Steelers at all?
You don't know this, and none of you know this. The quarterback with the Steelers is my roommate, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, when he played for the Packers, he was a backup to Brett Favre. A friend of mine coached the Packers when I was with the Brewers. He says, could I come to spring training and bring a friend with me? Nice. He brought Aaron.
Is that right?
Nobody knew Aaron.
Yeah.
Nobody asked for one autograph. He was asking the Dodger players for autographs, and he was wonderful.
That's great.
And so I root for him all the time.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, Steelers, Pirates. Growing up, my mom used to say, boy, I sure hope they win, because if you lose, Rich won't talk to you for a week. And I went in my room, locked myself, and back when I grew up, they were horrible.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, here comes Chuck Noll and Franco and the whole
Mhm.
bunch.
Yeah.
For them to win for where they were.
Yeah.
I mean, when I say bad,
Yeah.
they were like,
Oh, yeah.
13,
Yep.
14.
Yeah.
I mean, back to the Bobby Lane days,
Sure.
way back. They were horrible when I was growing up, and then all of a sudden they got good. And then, once you're a Steeler forever.
Sure.
Forever.
Yeah.
But it's great. Like it said, now the Ravens may end up third or fourth.
I know.
The way without that.
Who would have thought that?
So the Steelers have a great chance to win that division. Then you get in the playoffs and anything can happen.
So you talked about how you were a Steeler fan growing up, and then your career comes not really full circle, but you get a chance to come back to Pittsburgh, right? Essentially your hometown. What was it? You think about that era. Now you got Barry Bonds playing with the Pirates. Doug Drabick run the Cy Young. You guys went on a nice run there. On the other side of town, you have the Penguins and Mario Lemieux's there. They win Stanley Cups, and the Steelers had some pretty good teams. What was camaraderie like between the teams?
During that time, the Steelers were practicing at Three Rivers.
Yes.
Then when football season started, they practiced like from 1 to 3. Then they fix the field, then we would practice. So I became real good friends with Bill Cowher. I became good friends with Chuck Noll. Bobby April was our special teams coach.
Yeah.
And I'm out there at like 1 o'clock, and Jim Leland had to get me. He says, "Rich, you have to organize." I said, "I watch the Steelers practice. Those are my guys, man."
Yeah.
And then one day, Jim says, "There's some guys coming in to take BP." We always had celebrity guys come in,
Sure.
actors. And I looked up, and I thought I saw God. It was Mario.
Oh,
He
no
came in
kidding.
with Kevin Stevens,
Not
remember him?
all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Kevin
for
Stevens,
sure.
a big
Kevin
bull.
Stevens
Yeah, he's a
could
big
hit.
man.
Yeah.
Them
Is that
other guys,
lefty? Was he a lefty? He was a
right,
left.
He was hitting
He hit
balls off
righty.
the wall.
No
But
kidding.
all those Penguin guys came in. Yager and all them guys. Yager couldn't
Nice.
hit nothing. He was horrible. But there I am, and I'm throwing BP, and I'm going, "Please, Lord, don't let me hit him in the elbow." Please. And I can throw strikes pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
Mario hit off me. Kevin Stevens did.
That's
Yager.
awesome.
And it was
Wow.
great. Jake Caulfield, was that his name?
Yeah,
Caulfield.
Jay Caulfield. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he's
the
still the
broadcaster. now.
announcer
Yeah.
now. Yep.
In fact, he did a wonderful thing when my daughter passed away. He sent me his stick right before my daughter passed away.
Is that
for
right?
her.
Oh,
Yes,
man.
And he,
Yeah,
he
seems like a
found out
great
about
guy.
it from our good friend Dewey Guido over at Weir. Jake used to come down here to eat all the time. And he sent me his hockey stick, signed it to my daughter. Didn't even know.
Beautiful.
So
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but that, yeah. it was
So the
wonderful.
camaraderie was strong
Well, you
between
know
the
what?
three teams.
Everybody was winning.
Yeah, sure.
We
It
were in
was
the
great
playoffs.
times.
The Steelers were going to Super Bowl, and the Penguins were winning the Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
wonderful. Black and gold everywhere.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we hope to get back to that soon, and it looks like the Steelers may have a chance to make a little bit of noise in the postseason.
You
if
know,
they
the other
continue
thing about this current Steelers is the beauty of it, and I've always thought you never want to be the best you're going to be in the beginning.
Right.
You know, baseball in April
Right.
or football in September. You want to see where you are and build and be the best at the end of the year so that you're on a better note. You know what you have coming. And I think that's what's going to continue to happen with the Steelers, especially defensively.
Yeah.
I mean, they really weren't strong defensively the first couple of weeks, but when you look at it, the talent is there.
It's there.
There's only one way to go, and that's up.
Yeah.
So if they can keep Rodgers healthy and continue to improve defensively, I think that the vision is pretty much set in
I
there.
think the whole thing is wide open.
Yeah.
Now, there's not
Yeah.
really
It is.
even like all the good
Right.
teams have been, they've been bad.
Yeah.
One or two.
Right.
Bills.
The Bills
bad.
got dumped by the
Eagles,
Patriots. Yeah.
Whoever,
Yeah.
Cowboys, whatever. And then the Ravens. All these teams are beatable. So
Yeah.
like you said, if you sneak in there, I mean, I go back to our wild card team in Florida. We weren't the best team, but for 2 weeks we were.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all that
That's all that
counts.
matters,
That's all you have
right?
to do.
Yeah, for a couple games. Well, we hope that the that continues, that trend continues with the Steelers. And speaking of teams who've been good in the beginning of the year, the Penguins opened up with a very impressive victory over Mike Sullivan, the former coach of the Penguins, over Mike Sullivan's New York Rangers. Kind of strange to see Sully in that blue sport coat behind the Rangers vest. In my mind, Sully's one of the great coaches all time that ever graced Pittsburgh professional sports, 2 Stanley Cups, great run of 10 years with the Penguins. But the Penguins were very, very impressive in that early season 3-0 victory in their opener. They play again tonight. But Howard, did you see anything from?
I didn't get to see any of the game. Unfortunately, I had to work that night. But everything that I've read has been very positive on the biggest concern going into this season. And that was, how are we going to play in our own zone? How are we going to play defensively?
They were terrific.
And I heard that they were very good. There weren't any, high percentage scoring chances that the Rangers had during that game, and they looked good. And the other really encouraging positive note was just how strong Eric Carlson looked.
Yes,
which
he
is
did.
really important.
Yeah.
There's always been all these trade rumors, but if you can get Eric Carlson, that's that Eric Carlson, boy, he makes your team so much better in a lot of different ways. And so, we'll know more tonight in that game, the rematch with the Rangers Saturday. But I didn't think they were as bad as everyone said they were going to be. But I don't know if they'll be as good as I want them to be. But the way to start out is very encouraging. And the other real encouraging sign is, how about those two teenagers?
Wow. They didn't look lost at all.
Brunick and Kendall?
Brunick was a little nervous. He
Unreal.
took a penalty on his
That's what
first
they
shift.
said, yeah.
But other than that, he skated his way out of trouble a few times. He's got some wheels. He's got some size. He's got a lot of things that you like. And the people were raving about Kendall. He's the real deal. He was a lot of people said at the number 11 pick, he was a reach.
Yep.
And now he comes up and makes the roster right away as an 18-year-old. You got to be thinking like, wow, this is impressive. We can't wait to see this guy develop playing on the line with Sid. And when Russ comes back and they've got a couple other guys that are injured, this who knows what could happen.
Well, they'll have some decisions to make after game 9, right?
Yeah.
If you keep them for 10 games, you've got them for the year because of a rule where teenagers can't go back to the AHL. You can't send them down. They have to go back to their respective junior teams, or you keep them in the NHL for the year. But if they come there and make it a difficult decision for the organization, keep them.
Yeah.
Keep them. I mean,
and they saw a lot of action because Butchie tweeted out yesterday that the ice time was almost evenly divided between all 4 lines. Like the fourth liner saw like 12 minutes, which is unheard of.
Yeah, I saw Kendall ended up in the 15, 16-minute range.
Yeah.
And so he's playing important minutes. I saw where he and Brunick were both on the ice late in the third period, which is incredibly important in a young kid's development. But, it was funny, having been around the rink a good bit with my son growing up. I don't know if it's in other sports, Rich, but I always noticed that the young kids in hockey don't realize they should be nervous or that they don't belong. They've got that attitude so what? I'm here.
I think they're exposed to more in their young life, where when we were, like not sheltered, but nowadays, probably these kids, because of the Twitter, and they're in front of crowds or everything. Nothing intimidates these young kids anymore like it used to.
Yeah. That's I know, like you would probably feel the same thing. There were certain times in your baseball career, you play in high school or college or whatever, and you catch yourself looking around at some of the great players, and you go, whoa, do I really belong here? And and there's not time for that in hockey. There's
anything else fast right now, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they're so athletic. But this is we'll look forward to catching up a little bit more about the Penguins when Phil Bourque joins us again, and we'll have some more news upcoming. So stay tuned about our future podcasts. But I want to thank our sponsors again, Ed Gone, O Patio and Pub on Lane. We couldn't have done this without you guys. Tony Rinaldi, Dr. Valerie Vukalix, thank you so much for stepping up and making this such a fun thing for us to do. We're going to continue to do this. And like I said, we'll have some news about our future podcast. But I want to finish up, as I've done for a number of times. And here's one of my old buddies walking in, Coach Mike Haney. Speaking of coaches, I want to finish with a little bit of recruiting advice. And I've talked a little bit in the last podcast about how important this is. And Rich, please feel free to chime in, because I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. But to me, when we're talking about where a young student athlete decides to go to college and wants to further their career, the 3 most important decisions that a young individual makes are, number 1, to me, are you going to follow God or not? That's number 1. The second thing is, down the line, hopefully, if you do it right and you're mature about it, is who you marry, because that person's going to be with you 24/7 in every single thing that you do is going to involve that other person. The third thing, in my mind, the most important decision an individual makes is where they go to college, because that sets you up for the next 40 or 50 years of your life. The contacts that you make, the friendships, your training, the education that you receive, any internships that are available, that's how important this decision is. And I think a lot of people go into this with like a total blank canvas and don't think about it and think like, well, these big college coaches are going to come down, and if I'm good enough, they'll find me. Which nothing, I can tell you firsthand, nothing is further from the truth, because a lot of the good guys that I had, even when I was at YSU, and even guys that got drafted, were guys that found us, guys that came knocking on our door. And for what I want to encourage everybody to do out there, if you're thinking about moving on at the college level, okay, please take this matter into your own hands. And parents, I want you to think about one thing. You have to treat this like a business. Your son or daughter's got to have a brand. They've got to put it out there. They've got to want to they have to want to watch what they put on social media. They have to be careful about their associates. They have to be careful about where they go, the things they say and do. They have to treat this like a business. And that involves what I'm going to talk about the next time that we get together is resume building. You have to build a resume and you have to send it out to the college coaches, because Rich, I think you'd agree, even at the professional level or whatever level, there's a small percentage of the Barry Bonds and the guys who have that great a talent that, you know, they're going to stand out no matter where they're at. It's going to happen for them because they're that good. But the other 80-90% are people who are just who were good players, got a break, kept at it, kept their nose clean, and just developed.
You know, I tell the young, I work with a lot of young kids. And
Yes.
To go to college, I did it today. I do it every day, and I try to help them. And here's what I ask them. I said, what do you want to do? And they tell me, I want to go to college, blah, blah. I want to go to pro ball, whatever, D1, D2, whatever. And I said, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to get a piece of paper about that big and write the word "if" on it. And they look at me like I'm nuts, and I say, if you want to play D2 or D1 in any sport, then you got to be a little different than everybody else. Right. If you want to get a college degree, you got to be a little different. And I use the word freak. You got to be different than anybody else. And it's harder now in college, in any sport, and you could ask any of them. When you go to college now, you're not only playing against seniors, you're playing against 70-year
grown men
because of the portal.
Yes.
These kids are coming in that are 20, 23 years old. You're 17 or 18. You got to work a little harder.
Right.
If you want to be that, and like you said, there's an awful lot of players I know in the big leagues. They're not number one picks. Right. But guess what? They worked their butt off to get to where they did extra. They get up in the morning. They do this. If you want to be that. Now, If you don't, that's different. But if you want to be a D1 or D2 player, you have to live in a gym. Yes. You have to live in a gym. Coach Haney's here. His son lives in a gym. Yep. Guess what? He's going to get rewarded. Yes. That's the way it works. Right. If you want to be a baseball player, you don't take the summer off. You don't say I'm burnt out. Yeah. When I hear the word burnt out, it infuriates me. Burnt out is when you are 50 years old. No, I'll say 40, and you're playing, and you're offered $100 million a year, and you turn it down. That's when you're burnt out. You don't get burnt out in high school. When I hear that, that means I'm not good enough to make the team, or I'm too lazy. Yes. I hate that word. Yeah. There's so many good players in the big leagues. Watch the playoffs. You never even heard of these guys. Right. They're this screwed guys pitching. My God, who was he? He's a late round pick. Yeah. There's a lot of late round picks. Everybody's not. And the guy who pitched for the Yankees the other night was in Double-A when the season started. He was a losing pitcher in Double-A. Yes. He was 15 and 16. Yeah. But you keep working and you keep working. It's hard. Yeah. And you want to quit. You go to college, you get pounded. My first year in pro ball, my best friend was Dan Abramowitz, who played in the NFL. Danny wouldn't let me quit. I said, Danny, I'm hitting 180. He says, I don't care. Just hang around. Keep hanging around. And here's what I tell the kids now. I said, you remember when you're in your first team you were ever on, you got a picture, right? You got a picture, okay? Then when you get to second year, third year, fourth year, I said, every year, see if you can stay in the picture. Mm-hmm. Cross out the guys who have quit or left. That's a great theory. By the time you get to college, You got X's everywhere.
I love
and,
that.
And you're the
Yeah.
only one left.
Yeah,
Just
I love
stay in the
that.
team picture,
Yeah.
and you'll have it. All any kid ever wants is an opportunity,
Yeah.
just a chance, just a chance to make it.
Yeah.
If you do, I've known too many people in my life. Dan Braun was one of them. He was the last guy picked in the NFL.
Yes.
He's all pro.
Yeah.
He got cut. He wouldn't go home.
Held NFL records.
If he
Yeah.
wanted to be a great player, that's what he did.
Right. Yeah.
And I've seen a lot in baseball too. You know?
Those are great points, and you know, you're always overwhelmed by the process. And I used to think like guys that played in college were so good and so much better than someone from Little Steubenville or those kind of things. And I'm not sure if I was aware enough of the situation, but I'll share this story with you, Rich. And I may have told you this before. When I was a senior, I was fortunate. We had a really, really good team. And other than your team, we were the only Catholic Central team at that point that made it to the state finals. But we had 12 seniors that were really tough guys, a couple really good pitchers. So they carried us, and we got off to a really good start. And I was fortunate that I got off to a good start. Your dad comes to one of our practices, and Coach D'Angelo says, "Hey, Mr. Donnelly's here." And we all knew, like, oh, Mr. Donnelly's around. We better button up because, you know, your dad was a tough guy, and he was scouting for the Rangers. And your dad pulls me off to the side and says, "Hey, listen, I have a tuition scholarship for you at the University of Houston. If you want it, I told the coach you could come down and you could start for them next year." And I said, "Oh boy, Mr. Donnelly," I said, I've already given my verbal to Ohio U. And I said, "I don't want to go back on my word to Coach France." And your dad said, "What are you, chicken to go away from home?" You know, just like, dude, yes, he did. He asked me if I was chicken to go away from home. And I said, well, I just kind of, that everything is evolved, and I think I'm going to get a chance to play right away. And I thank you for everything, you know, your interest in me. And it was, I don't really think about that then. I just know, like, now your word's your word, but it's different now.
You know, when I went to my first big league, I was drafted by the Yankees, and I was drafted again by the Senators. And the scout called me and said, "You're going to big league camp for the first time." And I didn't even know the Senators. I just watched the Senators. And then I went, "Oh my God, Ted Williams."
Ted Williams is going to be there.
You know, I go to spring training. They got Denny McClain down there. Ted Williams is the manager, and I get him to sign balls for me. So my dad calls me the first day. "How'd it go?" I go, "Hey, I got Ted Williams' autograph." He goes, "You never play." So here's what happened.
Your dad was probably mad.
Oh, like you said, the first time you go there,
Yes.
you're starstruck.
Yes.
There's Ted Williams. There's Denny McClain.
Yeah.
The catcher was Paul Casanova. I'm a catcher. There's only 3 catchers. Only 3. I'm one of the 3. And after about a week, I'm going, you know what? I can play here.
Nice.
You see it.
Yeah.
It takes a couple of days,
Yes.
and all of a sudden you start
That's a
playing
great
older
point.
guys or big. You go, you know what? They're good.
I love that story.
But I can play here. And
That's awesome.
And then it gives you a little confidence.
Yeah.
The first time that you go to college,
Those lights are bright.
He plays for my son in Marshall, Ty Householder, great player up at Indian Creek. He went down there. They're playing. In fact, they're playing OU tomorrow. And he says, "Coach, I never seen a 97 in my life." He said, "Oh my Lord." I said, "Hey, just blend in, stay in the picture,
Yeah.
stay in the team picture."
Yeah. That's
So, but you adjust, and if you're good enough, you'll be fine. You know, like you say, you're not everybody's a number 1 pick, but all the guys in the big leagues, they're not all number 1 picks.
right.
Same
Right.
in any sport.
You got to keep hanging on. Yeah, you got to keep following your dreams. But Rich, I certainly appreciate you being here. It's always great to talk with you, Howard.
Enjoy it.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for having me.
You know, and we'll talk again shortly about our next podcast. And we always want to leave with a little bit of advice there. And we're talking about following your dreams. So, you know, thank you again to our sponsors who helped us follow this dream of getting this podcast off the ground. But stay true to who you are in your heart. And thank you again to the sponsors. We'll see you the next time. And follow your dreams. Follow us. You can follow us on X and Facebook. Are we on Facebook Live, Dan? And we're on Facebook and YouTube, and keep following us, like us. Thank you. We appreciate you sharing everything. And most of all, follow God and the dreams that he puts in your heart, and you won't go wrong. We'll see you next time here on Black and Gold Happy Hour Sports Talk.
It's awesome. I worked at the Observer Reporter in the sports department and would cover some of the Pirates games.